Hey, good afternoon. This is Jodi James, and I am the president of Florida Cannabis Action Network. And if you are just now tuning in, you will realize that we are late, but great. Florida Cannabis Action Network. We're doing things a little bit different here today. We're going live straight to Facebook from gorgeous Cedar Key, Florida. Most of our regulars are in the house with us already this weekend. With me is Josephine. Say hi, Josephine.
Hi, hope everybody's doing grand. It's beautiful out here at the Tiki Fest in Cedar Key.
We've been telling you about the Cedar Key Tiki Festival for a while. We've got 3 days of activities, bands happening all over, live music, songwriters breakfast. There are still tickets available online. So if you're close by or far away and you'd like to make the drive to Cedar Key and hang out, we would love to see you. In the house with Florida Cannabis Action Network, 25 of us. So thumbs up to yes. 25, right? Very excited. 25 is a lucky number, I guess, but 28 is actually the number of annual meetings that Florida Cannabis Action Network has had. And one of the things that we're doing here at the Cedar Key Tiki Festival is gathering on Sunday for our annual meeting. Josephine, do you want to tell people a little bit about being a member of Florida Cannabis Action Network?
Sure. So, my name is Josephine. I have been a part of the FLCAN fam since 2013.
Okay,
12-ish, 13. Kind of lost track. It's been 100%. More than a couple of minutes. I started out as just up at the Capitol, wanting to change some draconian and prohibitive cannabis policies. And I lived in Tallahassee, and my ex at the time was working on hemp policy, followed him up to the Capitol and realized that, neither one of us really knew what was going on. But he had run into Jodi James with Florida Cannabis Action Network, and hey, guess what? They're trying to change prohibitive cannabis laws too. So it's kind of history ever since.
We've been rolling together a while.
For quite a while. My jam is legislative work, patient advocacy. That's what really connected with me to Florida Cannabis Action Network. And so that's kind of what I do. Work on policy during legislative session. When I used to live in Tallahassee, it was a daily thing for me. Florida Can takes a home during the entire session up in Tallahassee, and we have boots on the ground. So that's just kind of one part of what Florida Can does. Since we now have a cannabis program and hemp program, our mission and goal has changed a little bit. When we started, there was no legal cannabis, and now it's all legal, or it's not, depending on who you ask.
What day of the week?
Or what day of the week, or what product you're talking about, because that definitely makes a difference. So we've seen a lot of changes along the way. We do our very best to keep up with all things cannabis, hemp, across all avenues: business, patient, political, which is no easy task.
It's not. Many hands make light work, and that's part of the reason why it's so important that people join Florida Cannabis Action Network. We did get great news today. Carla Ashburn, our secretary, has reported that in the last year, Florida Cannabis Action Network has doubled its membership, so thank you very much. And I noticed today that there were 1,000 more followers on Facebook. So thank you all for following. I appreciate you liking Elevated Intel, sharing what you see on Florida Cannabis Action Network. We will not become able to do the next thing without you. This is a news program. Did Hector join yet? So no Hector yet.
So in my personal news, since I'm here at the Cedar Key Tiki Yes, the Tiki Hut frozen cocktail. So that's my news update on my status. So it's a good thing it's my first sip and not my last sip.
I'd never get the microphone back.
We are adding Hector.
Excellent. Hector's coming on. He's actually going to do a little bit of real news with us. I did want to let folks know, though, that we are paying a lot of attention to the governor's race. Just this week, candidate Paul Renner, who is running for governor, made some really strong statements about not supporting adult legalization. And if we want to move the conversation forward, we're going to have to move forward with politicians who actually want to make a good, reasonable program. Most of you who are listening realize that cannabis was removed from the Controlled Substance Act, and now medical marijuana from a state legal program is Schedule 3. I did write a little bit in my newsletter as the president about what some of the people who came before us would think about medical marijuana being Schedule 3. And as I was writing, I was thinking about Kathy Jordan, one of our past presidents, and was the face of medical marijuana. She was her home being raided that prompted John Morgan to get involved in the fight for medical marijuana in 2014. And I thought, well, what would Kathy say? And I thought, well, Kathy would say, bullshit. It's one plant, and to make part of the plant Schedule 3 and part of the plant Schedule 1 is almost as ridiculous as what we've had for the last 3 years, where part of the plant was descheduled, part of the plant was Schedule 1, and we had some weird state legal medical programs. So certainly we have a long way to go. We are going to pat ourselves on the back because there are a lot of good things that are going to happen for our state legal medical marijuana program. I, for one, believe that I can now travel with my medicine. I believe that I can travel to all 50 states. I believe that as long as my medicine is created by a state licensed producer, and as long as the medicine is in its original container, then I am 100% legal throughout the United States. So I think that's really great news for consumers. From a business standpoint, businesses are going to benefit. Businesses that were not able to take advantage of certain business tax credits are now lawful cannabis businesses. That's got to be the good news. And the threat of arrest and losing licenses, some of the things that marijuana producers were always needing to be worried about. I think some of that will change. We're certainly going to see more cannabis research, whether we think that's good news or the bad news. It all depends on who's paying for the research. So other than that, I think that that was probably the big news, is that cannabis is now Schedule 3. Has Hector joined us yet?
Bill says adding.
Okay, well, we're having some tough,
bad reception.
Tough reception here at the Tiki Festival. But if you're here in Cedar Key and you're looking for Florida Cannabis Action Network, we're going to be here at the Low Key Tiki for the next hour or two. We're going to be moving from place to place throughout the weekend, and we'll be sure to update you on Facebook on where you can find us. If you heard about the Cedar Key Tiki Festival from Florida Cannabis Action Network, be sure you pop in and say hi. Some of us are going to be wearing our Florida Can t-shirts. We've got some special tie-dyes that we're going to be bringing out tomorrow. Dana, did you want to add something?
Yeah, we're going to be recording this again. Every live we do, we're going to do a second one where it's not live and repost because we're not sure what the quality is going to be. I have a bad feeling about it. So we're going to redo this in just a second.
Dana thinks we may have to redo this. We'll see. I wanted to make sure that we gave Hector a second, but if you don't think we're going to get Hector today, I don't want to keep people if we don't have good
Hector to
content.
record himself and send it to us.
Okay.
So I just made one more attempt to bring Hector in. Jesse Meek says hello from the Tetra family.
Jesse!
Loves supporting our FLCAN team.
You know what? We had a great time with Tetra Horizon last week, so thanks for tuning in. Last week, of course, was 420, right?
Yeah,
it was 420. So, what did you do for 420?
I don't even remember. I worked. That's what I did for 420. What day of the week was it? It was a Monday. It was a Monday.
Yeah.
I worked for sure. We partied on Sunday. Partied with Petra Horizon on Sunday. They had an amazing patient event. Perfect. Had some dispensaries there. True Leaf came out. We had cookies at the event. Trying to think if there were any of the other dispensaries. But a Brevard Veterans group that has been participating with Petra Horizon. So we were thrilled with that. Nice. Yeah, it's like Ethel used to say, what's FLCAN going to do on 420? Smoke more weed. So, basically
420 every day.
it's 420 every day. And, they said we could have started our 420 live any time of the day because, with Florida Cannabis Action Network, it's always 420. So it's always 420 somewhere. Yeah, it really was. I mean, so the last 2 weeks have been pretty busy. We had, 420, that's, high holiday. Birthday, also important to Florida Cannabis folks. Then on the 22nd, I think it was, that, no, it had been the 20th. Anyhow, Thursday of that week, we got the rescheduling discussion. And that threw everything into a tizzy. 100%. Threw my head into a tizzy, I'll tell you that much. Well, and I think most patients in the state of Florida are not going to see a whole lot of difference in what's happening in their life. No, likely not. Except with the being able to travel with your medicine. That's the only Schedule 3. There's no prohibitions on travel with Schedule 3 drugs. So we still think that it will be a case by case. People are asking about what happens with employment. I think that's going to be case by case. Case by case. We are literally making history. So there is no standard. We are going to have to rewrite cannabis policy, and that's not going to be an easy task. If medical cannabis is Schedule 1 and adult use cannabis, is Schedule 3, and adult use cannabis is Schedule 1, but they're both exactly the same plant, depending on where you get it from. That's basically the only difference.
Context is king.
Time. How is the same plant classified different? My head, that's why I'm like, for me, when the scheduling news came out, it just almost broke my brain. Because, when you understand it as deeply as we do, and the little nuances of the pharmacology of the plants, the legality of it, what the definition of medical is, what the definition of hemp is, what the definition of adult use is. It's just kind of crazy that we are in as far as we are, and we're still building a patchwork of laws across the country. That's the part that my mind has a hard time. For a second. So definitely, if you are in a position right now where your employer does not allow cannabis, we would encourage you to get with your employer. Make sure that your employer understands that medical access is a Schedule 3, and ask your employer to change their policy. The other thing that I expect to change pretty rapidly is whether or not we'll be allowed to have a gun. Gun rights is something that Cannabis Action Network has been forefront of. You'll recall that Vera Cooper, Neil Franklin, and Nicole Poole sued the federal government for their rights as patients to have access to firearms. That case has been holding. We got a positive verdict at the 11th Circuit Court. They were sending it back to the first DCA, and I don't know that the first DCA will want it again. It is a Schedule 3 drug. There is no reason to prohibit us from having access to a Schedule 3 drug. Dana brings up access. Dana Nippon's here with us this weekend. Say hi, Dana. Dana, come on. Dana's on our board. And one of the things, again, as I was looking at this and putting together my president's report, is, one of the things that Kathy always said that was important was safe access. Yes. And you cannot have safe, affordable access as long as you don't have access to home grow. Home grow is essential to affordable access. Can't have safe, affordable access until companies are transparent with what they're putting in it. Because the product that you don't know what goes in the growth medium, a product that you don't know what goes on it,
is not safe. We have an article in our newsletter. If you're not getting our newsletter, you're probably not a dues-paying member. So make sure you use and you'll get on our newsletter. One of the things that we talk about in our newsletter this week is the fact that we have been hearing more and more stuff about cannabis hyperemesis syndrome. So we have a blog article out this week on cannabis hyperemesis syndrome by Steve Thaw, who produces Elevated Intel for us. Steve quotes a really great study, but I think most of us at Florida Cannabis Action Network think that cannabis hyperemesis syndrome is directly related to what's in the plant and on the plant, not the plant.
Except for in those rare times, and not the plant at that point, it's a person. Because there's always going to be people that have allergies or sensitivities to everything.
Right.
So, does it exist? Yes. Is it rare that it would be just plant-induced? Yes, very likely. But most of what we're seeing is likely an additive, or what it's been grown with, or a contaminant of sorts, and not actually the plant itself.
So did you have more to add with access other than grow your own? And
I mean, yeah, as far as access, we're in an area you got to drive over an hour to go get some cannabis.
legal cannabis.
Legal cannabis. I mean, literally, unless you're going to go get illegal cannabis, I'm sure you could. But that is probably what's happening in areas like this. So when we talk about safe access, and we're just looking at this community, I can tell it's a community of older people who would prefer not to drive. It seems like it would be, I mean, the increase in women right now smoking cannabis is insane, and the women that are consuming more cannabis are actually from like 40 to 60.
My age.
Right? So we have women who really, don't need to be driving an hour for their cannabis to get access. And, I think that, we need to make sure that we have medical areas that are in proximity to people, within 20 minutes.
100%. Schedule 3 drug, and my pharmacy will mail me my Schedule 3 drugs. And we did. Dana and I looked just up the road here ready for the annual meeting. Dana says, should I start being anxious about supply? I said, well, of course not. Lots of cannabis everywhere, but we looked to see how far the nearest dispensary was. And Gainesville, the nearest dispensary.
And the Flowery will deliver to you on Cedar Key Tiki. That is actually a true story.
And I don't know who else does that. But
I can't speak for anybody else, but if that's what you guys are talking about, I could throw in there that.
But that takes 1 day. That's 1 day delivery.
You would have had to have placed your order before 4:20 today. But you can on Sunday.
Have 72 deliveries, but the
emergency cannabis access, okay?
Don't go to the pharmacy, they say no. All right, folks, thank you very much for tuning in today. This is Cannabis. We are Cannabis Action.
We are the Florida Cannabis Action Network. Are you one of us?
If you're not, you can hashtag roll with us at FloridaCannabisActionNetwork.org. roll-with-us, and I'm sure we'll get that in the chat. Thank you all for tuning in. Follow along this weekend. We're going to be sharing the event with you. And,
come find us. Get yourself a ticket. What's the code? Is it FLCAN?
Code? No more code.
No more code. And they have limited day passes left, so you really got to do that now.
Can't buy the passes here. Buy them online. Tonight
Facebook has a great link.
Gonna be listening to live music, and
tonight we're going to go find Flip Flop Republic at 9 p.m. down on Dock Street, because I do want to give a big shout out to Flip Flop Republic. They have been the organizers of the CTCP Music Festival for 4 years. This is year number 4, and they organized it after Cedar Key got slammed not once but twice in a row with hurricanes, and this is their give back fundraiser to the community. So that is something that is always near and dear to my heart. And thank you. So 9 p.m. we're going to go find them. They'll be playing tomorrow. They'll be playing Sunday. So that's the important thing to know about the Cedar Key Music Festival is that it's a fundraiser, a give back to this local community to really help boost their redevelopment.
Yeah. All right.
Join us. Link in the comments.
Thanks, everybody. Join us. Link in the comments. All right.
Peace out.